telling you, so many people call me Miha at this point. I'm like, sure, like, yes, that's my name. Living isolated on an island, like, people think it's very beautiful and glamorous and stuff, but there have been days that I haven't even seen the sun, let alone the ocean, because we're just like in the kitchen working. You're working in a luxury resort. I've actually lived and studied across 13 to 14 different cities. As a kid, I got to explore. We saw places that, we could have never imagined that we would see. But at the same time, I think in terms of, people have like childhood friends.
Right.
And I'm just like, yeah, I have a friend from like this place and a friend from that place. I have friends everywhere, so that's a nice thing now. I love Bangalore.
I love Bombay.
I love Bombay
Thank
as well.
you.
Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
like
Put it out there.
everything. Yeah, sure. I was sort of told that you're not the same person when you're working. And you know what? It's fine because I don't really care for Bombay anyway.
3, 2, 1, yeah! Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined.
And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work.
Courage is not doing things in the absence of fear. Courage is doing things despite the fear.
Growth comes from consistent action.
And you're realizing, hey, I'm not the only one with these problems.
Welcome to the BYOB podcast, Madhavi.
Hi, thanks, Raashid. Thanks for having me.
Very, very happy to have the one-woman show behind Miha Patisserie here today. One of my favorite micro bakeries in Bangalore. Thanks so much for making it. I always prepare my first question and then we sort of just go wherever the conversation takes us. So I have a very important first question for you, which is, you recently moved from Bombay to Bangalore.
Yep.
As someone who was born in Bombay but moved to Bangalore when I was all of 2 years old, I feel like a Bangalorean.
Okay.
So I need you to tell me the 3 reasons why you prefer Bangalore to Bombay and make sure that all your Bombay friends hate you at the end of this podcast. Thank you.
I love Bangalore. There's no doubt. I am not from Bombay either. I've actually lived and studied across 13 to 14 different cities and educational institutions, India and abroad.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'm never attached to any city. But I do really like Bangalore. This is something that my Bombay born and, raised husband and I constantly sort of, squabble about because he loves Bangalore. I mean, he loves Bombay, but he loves Bangalore as well, and he can't sort of decide.
Yeah.
3 reasons. 1, I think the food scene is slightly better, although Bombay is really catching up.
Okay.
I think come on, weather. Weather.
It would have been weird if weather didn't come up.
If I didn't say weather. And 3rd, I don't know, I just like the vibe of the city. I really enjoy Bangalore. So, yeah, sorry, Bombay.
Yeah, I've just realized that this was, I thought it would be a joke to try and make you alienate Bombay people, but I have done that to myself in one fell swoop. So I would like to just put on the record, I love Bombay.
I love Bombay
Thank
as well.
you.
I
Yeah.
like
Put it out there.
everything. Yeah, sure.
We'll make sure we bring that into the conversation 3-4 more
absolutely.
times.
Yeah.
Madhavi, you obviously run a micro bakery, and I have a question I'd like for you to be really candid about. Since COVID, there's been an explosion of home chefs, home bakers, people who are very clearly good at what they do and bring joy to people around them by selling their products. But from what I know, you are a trained chef. This has been your life's work where you've, really deep dived into it. Does it frustrate you that it's so easy for people who are not qualified to get into this space?
Yes and no. No, because there are a lot of people who actually come to me and a lot of friends and family friends and stuff who want to who used to order from me and now they're like, it starts with, can you share a recipe? And then it moves on to, so I'm going to start my own thing. And I'm just like, I just lost a client like that. But no, it's a little bit of both because I know that people may not, I know that I'm really committed to this. And this is something that I want to do in the long run. For a lot of people, it's a passion project, it's a side gig, and that's all absolutely fine. At some point, I know there is a direction in which I want Miha to sort of, evolve and grow. And I don't know, I've never really thought about it. I don't think it frustrates me, but it probably did a little bit in COVID. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I can imagine
I
that.
did a lot of workshops as well during COVID because, why not? Everyone was doing workshops. Everyone wanted to learn. And yeah, it was fun though. Like, I love teaching. So honestly, it's fine. I think it's all about your skill. And if you're able to sort of differentiate yourself from other people and you believe in what you do, I think you will, no one can copy that. No one can
Yeah.
take your skill away from you. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a
my
great
take,
point.
yeah.
I always think that I always say this, that the age of ideas is dead. So even when it comes to Jigsaw, there have been a lot of times that coaches have joined Jigsaw to try and grow their practice. And initially, and I won't take the person's name, but it was so funny because this person got in touch with me once and said, hey, I've been following you on Instagram for so long. I've always felt weird to ask whether you would have me in the community. And I said, why? And he said, well, because I want to be your competition. And I was like, no, that's fine. Ideas are now anyway
Imitation is
available. And then
flattery,
it's, it
so-
feels good.
Yeah.
I think taking that long view on it is probably more advantageous
Yeah,
towards the
yeah.
end. When I was asking you about the Bombay-Bangalore question, you said that you've been in 13, 14 institutions across the world.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you mean by that? What's your life been like before Miha and everything entrepreneurial started?
Yeah, so my dad and mom, they're both hoteliers as well. And we were in India abroad. We were on an island called Nauru. It's in the South Pacific. It's this tiny little dot in the ocean on the equator. We've lived literally all over the place. I've moved every 2 years, which is why I don't have I don't feel a sense of attachment to a place. I am born in Delhi, but I've probably lived there for 3 years. I've lived in Bombay, actually, the most amount of years of my life, the most number of years. But yeah, it was good. It was fun, I think, till maybe 6th or 7th grade. Because you're like, oh my God, where to next? Which part of the world are we moving to next? Stuff like that. And then when you're slightly older, it's not as fun, I think. Because I'm always moving mid-session. So I'm not moving at the start of a school session. Transfers would come in September, October. So it would mean a lot of adjustment. You move in, you make friends. You've just about made friends at your previous school. So yeah, it was really sort of bittersweet. I have friends everywhere. So that's a nice thing now. A lot of my closest friends are, spread across the world. So it's a lot of fun to, kind of visit them and, have those stories and those times, recall those. When I'm a lawyer. I've studied law.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in Bombay. I did my law in Bombay and I didn't hate it. I wanted to actually work with the...
Sorry, I have to cut you off. I love that everybody who studies law has to clarify immediately after, no, I didn't hate it like you think I did. I didn't hate it.
I really didn't hate it because I wanted to get into public policy. So I worked with the Parliament of India. I've worked with a bunch of ministers. I have worked in, public policy with corporates. Bunch of stuff. I really did all my internships. I did my time is how, I sort of call it. But I knew that I didn't want to do this in the long run. I knew that I've always been a little artistic and creative. And I always knew I wanted to do something that kind of fulfilled that part of me. And yeah, so that's when I was working in Bombay as a lawyer and I was really homesick. My parents had been staying abroad for a while and I wanted to move back home but not move back with them.
Sure.
So, when you're living, I was on my own for 7-8 years. So they were in Langkawi and I moved to KL and I did a pastry course over there. This is while I was applying for my master's to different places in public policy.
And you were working full-time as well at this point?
This time I quit. I quit my job in Bombay. I moved closer to home.
Got it. Okay.
I took up a place in KL and I did a 3-month pastry course, just, because I wanted to do something creative. And while I was doing all of this, I was applying for my LLM and my public policy courses and stuff. And 3 months down the course, it was actually a whole year-long course. And 3 months down the course, the advanced diploma, I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I can do something. I'm good at this. And I really like it. I'm enjoying this. it's so much fun. And my folks are like, wait, what? Like, what just happened? And they were really supportive, though. They never wanted me or my sister to get into the hotel, the hospitality industry. It's not it's not glamorous at all. But yeah, it was just something that I knew I finally found something that, I wanted to do. And I'm talking like 10 years ago when we didn't have all these, pastry schools and we didn't have everything.
It wasn't normal.
Yeah, it wasn't normal that you just, post graduation or post like 12th standard. I know a lot of kids just get into it today. And it's amazing because I didn't have that kind of exposure or understanding that I wanted to do this. And yeah, that's how I did that. I got a job. I was in the Maldives for a few years. I came back to India and
I feel like we need a globe or a map here as we're tracking your journey
I don't know if
across the different
I don't know if
cities.
this is a travel podcast at this point or if this is a business one. But
No,
yeah.
but it's quite crazy that
Yeah,
you've had so many experiences, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it all adds up and helps you in different ways
Absolutely.
now,
I
right?
think law has really shaped me into the person I am. It really sort of, makes you a very reasonable person. Like, you really sort of break down problems very easily. Like it just changes the way you sort of see things.
And I know this might be a bit of a stereotype, but it's not what you normally would attribute to creatives, right? This sense of analytical reasoning, breaking down
Deductive
problems.
reasoning, yeah.
So it feels like you've got a little bit of both, which is really quite
I really
exciting.
appreciate that. I think every one of these experiences has obviously changed me. My time in Maldives and everything was like something that really made me a very strong person, I feel, because living isolated on an island, like people think it's very beautiful and glamorous and stuff, but there have been days that I haven't even seen the sun, let alone the ocean, because we're just like in the kitchen working. You're working in a luxury resort. So all of these, have really sort of, shaped me into the person I am today.
That's absolutely fascinating. And I guess I should refrain from talking more about travel. Otherwise, this is going to be a travel podcast.
Yeah.
But I think you might have been a part of it as well with the community. We always tell them, okay, pick like a couple of your non-negotiables for you personally.
Yeah.
And for me personally, being able to travel twice a year to a different part of the world was what I want to design the stuff around. But it feels like that's a very tiny goal in comparison to the every 2-year travel that you've sort of gone through. So I am kind of jealous, but I will try and take this in a positive way.
Like I said, it's the grass is always greener on the other side. As a kid, I got to explore. We saw places that, we could have never imagined that we would see. But at the same time, I think in terms of, people have like childhood friends.
Right.
And I'm just like, I have a friend from like this place and a friend from that place. I don't have like a whole group of childhood friends or people who I share those memories with. So it's a bit of everything. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your latest move where you've come into Bangalore. And so please tell us a little bit about the shift to Bangalore timeline. So did Miha start once you came to Bangalore, or is it something you brought with you from Bombay?
No, so when I moved back to Bombay, I got married, and that's why I moved back to Bombay, and I decided to start Miha. But Miha was always a passion project. Miha was never my sort of breadwinner or anything. It was I was always consulting and I was working with different brands. So I was training chefs, I was working with brands, doing their menus, doing R&D for them. And this is something that I did for about 3 years. So this is 2017 and I moved back. So Miha was there. It was like, there was like an Instagram page.
Right.
And friends and family wanted stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. If I ever got like a personal project to do something, if there was a pop-up, I would go, I would participate. I was doing white labeling for other brands. So I was working like 9 days a week, basically. Because I was 3 days working with one on a project. I was working with someone else for a couple of days. One day, if I would get a day off, I would do all my Miha orders. One day, I would do the white labeling orders. Yeah. And I was really happy because I was all over the place, yet I was, very sorted. Like, I was making money and I was putting that money back into Miha.
And was the goal at that time to make Miha at some point the main source or no?
Never.
Okay.
I
Wow.
don't come from a business family. My forefathers wouldn't have guessed that I was ever going to be a business owner. Like, let alone like me, my parents, or anything. Miha was always like a passion project. I came back, I applied for jobs at hotels. I got a bunch of offer letters and I decided not to take it because I thought consulting would be more fun and I could always get back into a job. And at the end of the day, I always had law.
Right. Okay. Right. I'd
Yeah,
forgotten
so-
that law was part of
I
it. Yeah.
always had
Okay.
law because I was working in Bombay. So everyone, when I came back to Bombay, thought that, oh, are you going to get back into law? And I'm like, no, that's like the absolute last thing. But I don't think, I'm ever going to do that. But I could. You never know. And it was all very fluid. I was having a good time and I was consulting. Miha was doing really well because a lot of things that I learned while, doing business development and working with other brands for free could be like, I could use this knowledge over here, which I was, kind of gaining. And it was really interesting for me to work in this, market, which is a very Jain and eggless kind of a, market when it's pastry and people are just about opening up to French pastry and stuff. And then COVID happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
right. Okay. I was going to
Yes.
ask, when did the full-time thing happen? But I guess
Yes,
COVID had a
and
big
then
role to
COVID
play.
happened, and then consulting sort of dropped. Like, or my consulting projects just sort of slowly started. No one knew what was happening, especially the initial months of COVID. And margins aren't much in this
Sure.
in the industry, so you really can't afford to keep like a consultant who's probably coming in a few times a week. Everything's fine. The menus are sorted. The chefs are trained.
Yeah.
Let's just go with what's happening. So yeah, that's what happened. And I did a bunch of workshops. I kind of pivoted into teaching a bit. And then I did private workshops online for people.
This is all through
This is-
Miha or just
This is
Madhavi?
Miha, me, whatever.
Okay.
Like, it just, honestly, like Miha, I'm telling you, so many people call me Miha at this point. I'm like, sure, like, yes, that's my name. No, it's not. But call me whatever, as long as you remember these 4 words.
What
I'm
is,
fine.
I'm sorry, I'm very curious. What does Miha mean?
So Miha is actually Mija. It's a Spanish word, which means your daughter, your baby, your,
Oh, how
your loved
sweet.
one.
Okay.
I never wanted a French word because I never identified as a French patisserie or a French brand. I just wanted to keep it open because I was literally baking whatever I felt like at one point. And yeah, that's what Miha means. And
So it's kind of sweet when people call you Miha,
yes,
right?
It is,
Okay.
it is.
That's
Yeah,
good.
there's nothing.
Yeah, I was hoping it didn't mean
no.
something really aggressive.
No, it's just a sweet word which has a really good recall value. I've realized, like,
Yeah.
people, it's unique, and a lot of people also have called me Mahi, and I'm like, no, Miha. But it's okay. Just remember.
Well, calling anybody Mahi in India is quite a big deal, right? Because it's about Dhoni, but we'll try and stay away from cricket here. I just want to make you feel not
Sure.
too bad
Okay.
when people call you Mahi. It's a bit flattering.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I was.
My
doing
expertise is finding silver linings. So everywhere I'm just
Yeah,
trying
I
to
was
make
in
that
the whole
happen.
Mahi way sort of thing, but sure, that works too.
This is bad. We've now got potential segues into cricket and Bollywood, and I am
And
full
travel.
on, and travel.
And travel.
And I love
I'm not
all
sure
three.
what this podcast.
So COVID happens.
COVID
you
happens.
pivoted. You tried learning
I
stuff,
tried
workshops.
yeah, workshops, did a bunch of things, and then I realized, you know what? I think this is the time that I finally like get into Miha. I grow this for what I believe it can be, and grow this into what I believe it can be, and really just work on it. So I got a bunch of professional photography done. I got my catalog, like I sat down and made like gifting catalogs because it was near Diwali, and I did a bunch of stuff and people loved it. Like it's been my best Diwali so far.
The first one.
The first
That's
one.
crazy.
It was epic. Like it was.
I'm sorry. Can I
crazy.
pause you for a second? Because there's something here that feels a little bit insane, which is your consulting opportunities have dried up.
Yeah.
It's COVID. There's uncertainty everywhere. You have law as the ultimate backup. But you decide to go all in on the most uncertain of all of these things, which is Miha, while there's a whole bunch of
Everything.
uncertainty around you. So What made you make that decision? Was it lack of opportunity elsewhere, or just, as I see it, insanity? Or was there something else that made you decide to commit to it?
Honestly, it was the constant feedback that I would keep getting.
Okay.
Like it's as simple. Like 9 out of 10 times, I don't have to follow up with my clients. They come back and they message me. They tell me how amazing everything was. They send me pictures. These are strangers, right? Like
Yeah.
from nowhere. Everyone tells me this one has told me about you and stuff, and I'm not even like out there marketing or doing something like really crazy or doing influencer marketing. None of that. It's happening on its own, and I'm like, there's potential over here.
Got it.
This is something like everything from like the design to like smaller things and all. I mean, Canva se leke whatever, all these smaller, easier tools, that I could sort of pick up. I did pick up, and I've learned these things along the way. And I was like, I think I can do this because I know the product's good. I have good packaging. I have worked on these things. There is like a lot of effort that has gone into making, this stuff what it is right now at this point. I think I can grow this. And yeah, that's how it happened. Christmas was amazing. And then my husband wants to move to Bangalore because he got a new job.
Right.
And I'm like, this was the best Christmas and the best Diwali that I ever
And this is
could
all in
imagine.
Bombay, right?
This is all in Bombay.
Yeah.
So 21 Feb, we moved to Bangalore. And I'm like, you know what, it's fine because I don't really care for Bombay anyway. So
Wow.
I was like,
We are really like making sure, if it wasn't there already, we're like
Hate
alienating. Hey, Bombay is amazing. Love Bombay.
no, it's really
Keep
nice.
going.
I love it.
Keep
yeah.
going.
So, no, but I was like, I've never lived in Bangalore. I've lived in Mangalore, but I've never lived in Bangalore. So I was like, you know what? It's been 3 years that I've been in Bombay. My body's telling me I need to move. Like, I need to move to another city.
Sure.
So we moved to Bangalore, and I'm like, I've heard, there are a lot of smaller bakeries here. There are smaller, F&B, like there's cheese, there's kombucha. There's so many of these smaller homegrown brands over here that do really well. I think Miha can do well over here as well. So we come in about, I think May 21, when the second lockdown was at its peak, is when I, just post that is when I sort of restarted Miha from home. And I got a tremendous response.
Nice.
Like Bangalore really sort of, did me good. They were very receptive, very, very open to, the kind of stuff I had. I went into a bit of a experimentation mode again. But yeah, it was really positive.
Nice.
Last year, I sort of wanted to move out of the house. I was like, I don't want to do this at home anymore because Bombay plus here, I was like, I think I want to grow this. I
Sure.
know there is potential for this. I know I can do this, for corporate gifting, for, larger audiences, which I'm not able to do at home. And I never wanted to hire someone at home. It was too much of a personal space to, keep someone
Right.
at home and stuff. And yeah, that's how we have a studio now. So
Yeah, that's so exciting.
it's
I think there's this weird, I don't know, itch in me or something where I know everything's new and cool and hip and internet and co-working spaces and all of this great stuff. But there's this little thing in me saying that when you have like a physical
Office.
space of your own, it means something. It means it's
It
more
does,
permanent.
Like, I'm going to work in the morning. I'm going to my office in the morning. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's like what? I'm going to bake cakes in a different, place, but sure,
That's
it
very
feels
cool, though.
nice. Like,
Yeah.
it's mine, I've built it. Like, I'm a electrician, plumber, like carpenter at this point. Like, you need anything fixed, call me, because I'm like, I've been there throughout, all the civil work getting done and everything. And it's just, I really get into stuff. So I
Yeah.
think, which is why abandoning Miha was never, it was
option,
never
yeah.
an option for me. I never wanted to. I wanted to really give it my.
And you certainly are. What I'm curious about as well is right at the top of the show, I introduced you as the one-woman army or one-person show behind Miha. How does that feel? Because, of course, there's a side of it which is, you're superhuman, right? Being able to do all of these things, including plumbing and baking cakes and selling and marketing and turning up for this podcast and all of these other things. So how does it feel being a one-person army, considering I'm sure everything isn't ideal, right?
Not at all.
So can you tell us a little bit about, well, to be crass, what sucks about it being just you?
Many things. To begin with, you're always answerable. Like if something doesn't go out on time, if something's not perfect, if, it's food, so it has to be consistent.
Right.
So if that doesn't happen, I may have like 10 great orders, but that one order which, maybe like fucked up because of the delivery person or because of like anything, like any delay or something, it's on you. So I think, and you'll not remember those 10 things.
Yeah.
You'll remember that one.
Yeah, you'll lose sleep over the one,
yeah,
right?
That one thing, always, right? So that's one thing. The second is following up with people, always. I mean, I think I start my Monday with like a long list of, things I want to achieve in the week. And by the end of the week, I'm like, I couldn't achieve any of it.
Yeah, and that's got to suck. That feeling must suck.
Yeah, because I'm like, I want to do a lot of things, but because I am, because I get orders and those become priority always.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there's an order, it has to go out. It has to go out as per the client's timeline. There is no question about it. So it's a bit of prioritizing as to, how I want to grow personally and how I want to grow the team, how I want to grow my brand.
Yep.
So that's where, I feel I struggle because it's always the client. Like I always give priority to the client, no matter, like I would be like probably dying but, something's got to go out. It's got to go out.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a great place. I don't think there's nothing to glorify about it. But
yeah.
It's something I'm working on. So there's definitely a lot of progress, I think 6 months into it.
Nice.
That, I know like I take weekly days off. Mondays are my off. So I'm here. And I try and like prioritize time. I've been traveling a lot more.
Nice.
So, I mean,
nice. So we're getting there. There's progress. There's progress. That's cool.
It's a work in progress.
I'm glad you said, not to glorify it because I think people tend to sometimes, and that's what you see online, that you can do this, and then if you just spend 4 minutes doing this and 18 minutes doing this, then everything's going to be amazing.
Hustle culture is like not for me. I think I've done that enough at the start where I was, like I said, working 9-10 days a week kind of a thing, and it was fine, it was fun, but I don't think I want to be there anymore. I know where I want, to grow, like as a person, as a brand, as, separate the two to begin with. So
one more thing I'd like for you to be vulnerable about is I know from you being in the community that you tried a different route of not being a one-person army anymore and bringing someone on board in the form of a partner or a senior team member. That didn't quite work out. Can you tell us a little bit about what made you go out and try what didn't work? Tell us a little bit about that as well, because that's, I mean, you gave it your best shot, it didn't work, but it's something we can all learn from.
To begin with, I sort of at the start of when I took up a studio space, I realized that, all of this is fine, but enough business needs to come in so that, this is sustainable, like so that I can actually run this, successfully. And at that point of time, a friend wanted to like sort of quit her job and she wanted to get on board, and she gave like a brilliant pitch on how she would be perfect as a business partner to bring in business. And I was like, that's it, because I can completely focus on ops. I can really focus my energies towards what I want to do, which is be in the kitchen. It had been a while since I had created something new.
Sure.
I was just working on my older products and they were doing well, but there was this itch. I would always see something online and want to do something new.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can finally focus on that. It was fine. I think I work better alone when I delegate instead of, working with a partner. Maybe I've not found the right partner yet. So, I'm open to possibilities, but not too soon.
Yeah, it sounded towards the end like you were like, okay, I've just broken up with
Yeah,
someone.
just broken up. Like
I can't
maybe-
just jump back into
It felt like a breakup, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You said also it was a friend of yours. So
Yeah.
did that get tricky, or were you able to, both of you, navigate the whole friend but professional type of setup?
So there were, I won't lie, there were a couple of instances where, I was sort of told that you're not the same person when you're working. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm not the same person when I'm working, because we were partying then, and I don't bring that energy over here.
Yeah.
I'm a very different person. I'm very focused. I'm hyper focused, I think, when I'm working. And it has to be perfect, going out to a client, because you're a part of someone's celebration.
Sure.
It's a very simple way of actually looking at it. You're not like, there's no rocket science here. You're part of someone's celebration, and you want to give them that best experience possible. That's all that it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it did get tricky for a while, but I think we were mature enough to sort of work around it. And we're still friends, so there's nothing
Okay, that's great.
nothing. It's not tricky.
Good. Happy ending.
Yeah, it was a happy ending.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. Thanks for sharing that. I know that's not particularly a great thing to share about and say, hey, let's talk
Yeah,
about
but-
this, but
Yeah.
glad you shared. Thank you. What's next for Miha? Right. So one of my favorite sayings is in design thinking is you're always one version away from perfection. So you're always versioning up. So what's your next version? What's Miha's next version? What are you aiming to? What are you dreaming about next for Miha?
So for the next 6 months, especially because it is, we're getting into festive season. So a lot of my focus and energy is towards, just making sure there are consistent orders. We get good corporate orders, good quality corporate orders as well. Other than that, I just really want to grow the brand and just have people create a little bit of brand awareness. Because I'm still quite new in the market, and I don't think enough people know that we exist. So I think my main goal would be to sort of do that, and also to grow a team.
Okay.
To get in, people and get in the right sort of people to work in the kitchen as well as help me with sales.
Okay.
So I think that's where I want to sort of be in the next 6 to 10 months. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, hopefully this is the first. This can help you with a
Yes.
little bit of brand awareness.
Yeah.
I know having ordered your stuff at the pop-up and elsewhere as well that your stuff is amazing. So hopefully the brand does grow because more people should be able to partake with Miha's amazing products. We have a fun little segment we call Jaldi with Jigsaw. We were talking earlier that you've heard a few of these podcast episodes, so you must have heard them.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we've switched up enough of the questions that you've not come like prepared with
No,
with answers in there.
I'm not sure.
Let's go with Jaldi with Jigsaw. Okay, so are you ready?
Yes,
Okay. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
I would be a lawyer.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
How do you switch off?
I watch a lot of K-dramas. I love board games and jigsaw puzzles. And planning unreasonable holidays.
What's your favorite board game?
Cascadia. And
Never heard of it.
brilliant game. Like, so much fun, not too much of a learning.
Can two players play?
So a 2-player game that I love is Lost Cities.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is great. How do you want to be remembered?
As a good person, I don't have any, big sort of, expectations
Sure.
from. Yeah.
I think that one will get taken care of.
Yeah.
What's the most unusual thing you've ever eaten?
I think a baby octopus.
Oh, God. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems weird. Okay.
Also frog leg.
Ooh, frog legs.
Yeah.
Which
in
one do you
Vietnam.
prefer?
Baby octopus.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
Who's your biggest cheerleader?
My parents. Closely followed by my husband. I think but my parents for sure. Like,
He's trying his best.
my parents are just like, they go heart everything. Like, I'll just be like, oh, you were on Instagram, and I'll get like some 20 notifications. I'm like, thanks.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. And what 3 words would you use to define a jigsaw thinker?
Brave, for sure. It takes a lot to put yourself out there, to admit that you need assistance or help and, stuff. Resilient and resourceful.
Resourceful. Okay,
Yes.
that's a really nice one as well. I've heard brave before. It seems like the most common one, and I never guessed that anybody would say that, but I really love that that's
Yeah.
it. Resourceful is a new one,
Resourceful's really
which was a
yeah,
good call,
yeah.
actually.
Because I think everyone's out there helping each other. They're trying to experiment and everything. I think that is resourceful.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you. I think Jaldi with Jigsaw was a success. You've answered all of the questions, which is really nice. Before we sort of wrap up, sign off, just for everyone who is listening, who is perhaps on their journey as well, especially as a one-person sort of army, would you have like a message for them?
I think you need to just keep at it. Like if you're passionate about something, you want to get up, go. There will be days that you don't want to get up and, go to work as well. But I think you really need to fall in love with what you do. I think that's very important. If you're in love with what you do, there'll be good days, there'll be bad days. But you need to just, sort of keep at it, keep working on it. And keep,
that's beautiful.
Doing what you do, yeah.
I think, one of the things somebody else told me was it's not just about falling in love, it's falling in love with it every day. Again and again and again, which to me felt like a lot of pressure.
No, that's too much. I don't think there are days where I'm like, it's okay, I want to chill as well. But for sure, you need to fall in love with whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
You need to believe in it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Madhavi. This was such a beautiful conversation. Thanks for sharing very vulnerably. That's always really useful. And we'll sign off and then we'll all eat a little bit of your products. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Raashid.
Take care.
So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. We're Jigsaw Thinking, home of the self-starters. If you're interested in being your own boss, head to jigsawthinking.com or drop us a DM at Jigsaw Thinking on Instagram.